Welcome everybody to the Chinchilla Pickin' Podcast. It is June the 15th, 2025 at 4:07 p.m. My name is David Underwood. I'm joined by Brandon Beaver. As always, we hope to be entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. Brandon, how are you doing today?
You know what? I'm doing great. If anybody here knows technology and can figure out a way to go live on YouTube split screen, please let me know because I need to do it from a desktop. I don't want to do it from mobile. I want to do it from my desktop. That's why I bought this thing. So, yeah, let me know if you know how to do it because we were trying to figure it out. We were going to do a soft opening for a live show today and just see what we could do, and we couldn't figure it out. So, anybody
We
knows?
bombed.
Yeah, we bombed on that for sure. Mostly me, and I had to work yesterday. I was going to try to research it yesterday. I couldn't. I didn't have time. So,
We went down like a Boeing plane.
oh God, you got to bring that up.
We went down like a Boeing
Dave,
door.
I want to bring this up because about a year ago, I told everybody on the chat that we have going on text. I said, guys, if I ever buy Boeing again, it's a cry for help.
You
And not
did.
one of
You
you
did.
people.
And I'm the only one that of all of us in that chat group, I'm the only one who said I would buy if it dipped low enough.
Yeah.
And I said
Well,
below $100, I would buy it.
nobody reached out to me, so you're all terrible friends.
We did not reach out to you, no. No, nobody said, "Hey, Brandon, you doing all right?"
Uh,
We just made fun of you. Like, what are you doing?
in all seriousness, I was like, oh my God, just I look down at my phone. I'm at work and I look down at my phone and there's the Air India disaster.
Yeah,
And
very sad, very sad.
yeah,
You hate to see that those things happen. Um,
297 people. I mean, the building hit I mean, the plane hit a building with people in it, and that's just absolutely awful.
is
And
that what happened?
yeah, there were students. So it was like a medical building.
I did not hear that. No, I knew the Dreamliner crashed,
Yeah.
and they were saying that they didn't have any details as to what exactly happened, and they were going to wait for the investigation before they released anything. So I did not hear that they hit a building on the way down.
So yeah, nobody knows why it happened or what happened with it, but I just sold Boeing. I just can't. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of a company that's, dealing with stuff like that. And I mean, it may even come out. I know that they figured out that this is a 10-year-old airline. And from what I'm hearing, the investigation is surrounding the engine. So I don't know if that's going to be a GE Aerospace thing or not. But I mean, GE Aerospace has a pretty good record of safety. So I'm holding on to GE Aerospace, but I had to dump Boeing because I just have there's too much. I don't have time to track that. I don't have time to wait for a report to come out to see if it's their fault. I got too much going on in life, man. I don't want that kind of stress in my portfolio. So it's gone. I made a total of, I think it was like $1.25 or something like that.
I like that. Like, I hear you say this, and I remember the days when you were day trading options.
Yeah.
And did that remind you of, did you get like PTSD, helicopters going off and bombs going off behind you and option day trading, Brandon flashback?
I mean that, but it more reminded me of the first time I owned Boeing because it was the same stuff.
Yeah.
Just, no, I can't do it. I'm done with it. I don't care what I gotta listen. The girlfriend told me you're not buying Boeing stock again. You got to stay away from it. So like,
Right. I tell you one thing Boeing has done well is they did deliver those helicopters I reported on 2 years ago to Poland.
I've heard a bunch of people tell me that their aerospace industry and the safety actually and how much how attentive they are, the culture actually of the aerospace is different than the commercial sector, and their aerospace has been a lot more efficient. Not aerospace, but the government,
Military.
military. Yeah, that's been more efficient.
Well, because they have to.
And it's been a stricter culture there.
Because they have to. They have contracts, and the contracts specify certain safety requirements that they
Yeah,
have to abide by in order to get those contracts.
yeah, yeah. I was saying aerospace. I meant the government sector. I've heard the
Yeah.
military is better, but yeah, I don't know. Let's move on from that and never discuss Boeing ever again.
Right. I tell you what, I am going to do a quick call out on a couple things real quick. Nothing to do with stocks. If you're in the Cincinnati area, uh, you know, and you're looking for a place to go work out, I recommend F45 training. I am not being paid by them at all. F45 training, that's where I train. So far this year, Brandon, since January 1st, I weighed myself New Year's Day, right?
Yeah.
Since January 1st, we're now June 15th. I have lost 50 pounds of weight, and enjoying having all that weight off of me. And I still my goal for the year was 80. So I have 30 more pounds to go before I hit my goal for the year.
Nice.
But 50 pounds dropped, loss gone. I'm down to I weighed in at 259 this morning.
You're 9 pounds, just 9 pounds heavier than me, and that's it.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. I'm
I'm
almost
250.
like your weight. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm coming for you,
And,
buddy.
and I
I'm
gotta tell
coming
you,
for you.
like the fact that our future, our not future, but our mutual friend Tristan, the fact that I weigh 50 pounds more than him right now is just blowing my mind because I was a
Yeah,
skinny guy in high school. I was 140 pounds soaking wet, and he was the big dude, and now I'm heftier
you,
than him.
you
I
you
gotta
need
start
to
losing some weight.
you guys join the gym.
Yeah.
F45 training, that's the one I love. I love it. I love the atmosphere. I love the community.
Circling back to Boeing.
Circling back. Why wouldn't to circle back to Bowen? That's an awful thing to
Well,
circle back to.
there's a parable here, and everybody knows I'm really smart.
Do
So
we?
here's the thing, like I think it was Isaac Newton, I believe it was one of the brainiacs from back in the day. I believe it was him. Invested in the East India Company and lost a lot of money, and then it was turns out that you couldn't say the name of the East India Company around him ever again. He'd get mad. That's my Boeing. Never again. Nobody talk about Boeing to me ever again. It's over.
Right. I know you've gotten Tesla right once.
Yeah, I got Tesla right. I'm good with Tesla.
Once.
I've got that
Yep.
monkey on my back.
Yeah, that was your unicorn for a while. uh
But I gotta tell you, you can continue mentioning Nvidia, and that'll make me happy.
I've been mentioning Nvidia since like on when we had our Facebook private group. I've been mentioning Nvidia
Yeah,
and
but
loving it back then.
we both missed it at the beginning of this podcast because I mean, at the time when
Whoa, time out.
we
I
both
called
thought
it.
that this
I
was
called it when it
overvalued.
jumped up from 100 to 300, and I
Yeah,
told everybody on Instagram. I have Instagram to prove it to buy Nvidia. Hold it, great company. People, I have instant messaging DMs on social media to prove it. People reach out. What's your buys? I said Nvidia, and this is when it went from 100 to 300. Then it did a stock split, right? It went all the way up to 1,000. Then did a stock split. So that $100 at that time would be like it's valued at $10 right now.
yeah, but we all thought you should sell it at the beginning of the AI boom.
We thought we should sell it when it jumped up over 300 $400 because I was like, whoa, I don't see the fundamental reason. Like the numbers weren't there yet.
And now it is.
And now the numbers are there and it just keeps getting bigger.
Yeah. I mean, this was when, me not knowing any different, I just thought, oh, Chat GPT, that's all it is. It
So
turns
I've
out
always
there's
been
way
a
more.
fan of Nvidia, but
Well,
I got one time on it wrong, but it was a big pivotal time, if you
yeah.
will.
I have one complaint.
Just
And
one, because we have enough time for just one.
this was brought up a couple of weeks ago on the Wall Street Unplugged podcast, where I mean, he said, look, go look at the dividend for Nvidia. It's a penny per share. And it's almost just kind of like these people at Nvidia, they were like, we have to do a dividend, so we're going to go as little as we possibly can. And really, there's no purpose of it. I just rather them take that money and just reinvest it back into the company because it's not noticeable.
Right.
It's, but
All
that's
right.
my
Well,
complaint.
I go ahead.
On top of the fact that I think that Jensen Huang was I believe he was chewing gum at the beginning of his presentation at GTC in Paris last week, and that irritated me. But the presentation was phenomenal. But seriously, dude, swallow your gum before you get on stage.
Swallow, no, don't swallow your
Yeah,
gum. All right.
well, dude, you can't spit it out when you're already there, but he's got the microphone right there, and he's right into the microphone. Just get rid of it before you go out on stage. Get rid of the gum.
And yet you didn't stop watching the video, did you?
No, but we're gonna it gave us a good show here. So because this is what we're gonna talk about, the GTC Paris.
Okay. All right, so let's get into it. Rules, rules, rules. Brandon and I get together 5 to 10 minutes before the show, and we tell each other what we're going to talk about. Here to lie back and forth, to bicker and to banter, right here on the show for you. Brandon, take it away.
All right. So what the big focus here, there were two things, there were a few different things I want to bring up. But he was focusing mostly on the rise of agentic AI. So we're going from generative AI to agentic AI. Generative AI is what's just learning. Agentic AI is reasoning, doing all the stuff that humans can do kind of on a daily basis, but faster. So it's reasoning and learning. And what he brought up on the not on the television, but on the screen there, he showed all the graphics that were coming from the new Nvidia processing. And one thing that he pointed out was that this was not artist rendered. It was not animated. It was generated by the computer itself. It was a simulation of the computer. The computer was creating the graphics. Now dive deeper into that real quick. And if you're a gamer, that's exciting because essentially what that means 10 to 15 years from now, maybe even sooner, who knows? The video games that you're playing, they're going to be different for everybody because they're going to be worlds that are generated and all of your actions are going to be um, changing the way the game acts towards you. So what you're playing is being simulated by the computer that is already at your house rather than being generated by somebody who wrote a code 5, 6 years ago when the game was in development.
See, all right. You would need your
Completely
computer at
immersive.
your house to be able to process that, and that means you would have to have a bunch of NVIDIA chips inside it, and it's not going to do
Doesn't have
that.
to be a bunch. Doesn't
It,
have to
it,
be a bunch. Look,
uh,
he pulled up a supercomputer, weighs 60 pounds, that is already finished, that contained more data than the entire world's internet. Isn't that wild?
that is wild.
Everything's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So I'm not saying we can do this today with video games or anything like that, but it is something that is going to happen in the future.
Hmm.
No time frame on it, nothing like that. And this was kind of like theoretical, right? But they're not going to be games that were written out by somebody. This is going to be worlds that are developed, and then you're going to play inside those worlds. And instead of those linear video games, even the open world style video games like GTA 6 that's coming out next year are going to be considered linear compared to what we have coming up in the future. But there's more to this. There's more that this could be developed for rather than just video games. And what's already in effect happening in the UK, and they focused on the UK and a lot of Europe because that's where they were. They were in Paris. They are developing digital twins of just about everything you can think of, from pumps at manufacturing facilities and machines and things like that to predict things that can go wrong with them, to entire countries where you can upload a digital version of the United States and then run a simulation. What happens if we pass this policy? What happens if we, go to war with this country? Um, that's already happening, by the way. There's already a national plan for the UK to develop a digital twin of itself and run these simulations. And I think the United States has already had stuff like this in the past, but it's just going to get crazier and crazier and crazier. France, I think you wanted to say something. I
There's too
saw.
many. There's too many things that could go wrong with that. Like, if someone from one side of one party could slip a few lines of code in there to affect the outcome to look a certain way, uh, then I mean, then it's gonna it. You know what I mean? It can be skewed very easily.
Maybe, but the people aren't going to be writing the code. The computer program will.
Yeah, but they can write the computer program. Someone has to originally write the AI code and write the computer program that will write the computer You know what I mean? There's
AI
gonna be
might even
there
be able to do that.
well, here's this thing. Like, and here, all right, you're saying this facetiously, but I'll give you the example of the issues that Google Gemini had when it first rolled out,
Yeah.
and there was some issues when you did certain searches, it came up with politically motivated items because the person who wrote the Google Gemini AI code not well worked on it slipped in certain political things they wanted to put,
Right.
and so I'm saying like you can do that. It can't all just be computer. Eventually, there's going to be some human touch somewhere in there, and that's the problem when you have these run these simulations on these twins, if you will,
Sure. Another thing that popped out to me, he announced that Nvidia is now producing 1,000 supercomputers every week.
every week.
Every week. They announced a partnership with France. 18,000 Blackwell chips are being deployed near Paris in collaboration with Mistral AI, and that's going to strengthen France's sovereign AI capabilities. And the United Kingdom, 14,000 Blackwell GPU development projects are going on with cloud partners. Germany, the establishment of Europe's first industrial AI cloud supported by leading manufacturers like BMW and Mercedes-Benz. Um, NVIDIA showcased humanoid robots like Grek, trained entirely in the NVIDIA Omniverse simulations. Um, they announced transformations with their partnership with Siemens, and this is going to be AI factories, is what they're calling it. So, what we were just talking about with the twins, that the digital twins, instead of just having these AI factories and where that store data, those AI factories can be utilized to manufacture in the digital universe. So before you build in the real world, you build on the software, and then you see how in the software it would react or work out in the real world before you actually build it in the real world. Does
You
that
know,
make
and as we're talking, I already have like 10 different business opportunity ideas that have popped in my head based off these things you're talking about. I'm not going to mention on the show because
sense?
I want to make money off them, so I'm not going to tell all of you listeners.
Wait, no, you got to tell
No,
everybody. This is what the
no,
show's for.
no, because they're going to steal the idea and they'll run with it. I don't have a lot of time in my week. I
Oh,
I,
so
I
it's
got to
not a
get
stock market idea. It's not a
no,
stock market.
not
Okay.
a stock market idea. But and this is how you know it's a good one. I'm not sharing it. But I mean, there's so many applications, and I haven't even begun to think about how you can expand upon this using these supercomputers in and teaming up with AI and running with things. Like I got a million different uses.
Yeah. The
It's
the
amazing.
yeah, the presentation was typical for Jensen to be wowing,
Jensen,
and then sometimes whatever.
Jensen
Sometimes
Wan.
sometimes you think he overstates things, and I believe he does. He said something about most of the NVIDIA's chips being manufactured here in the United States. I think he said 100% of them by 2030, which number one, he can't control because he does not manufacture the chips.
Taiwan Semiconductor does a lot of
Yeah,
it,
and number two, that's a pretty lofty, crazy, wild statement to make that I think he
right?
just made to try to placate the Trump administration.
Well,
But he
Well,
brought,
any administration in the United States would love that. It doesn't matter right or left, and the reason why is, you couldn't harm the United States because we are manufacturing all the Nvidia chips, and you need them. Every country needs them,
yeah.
and it would make us more secure in that regard.
But what he showed proof of and evidence of at this this conference in Paris was very impressive, and I'm really surprised that the stock did not take off. In
When
fact,
was
I think
that?
that this is
Because I
one
didn't
of
watch this. When was that?
it was last week,
On what day?
maybe the 11th. I think it was June 11th. I watched
Don't
it
even know.
today.
You don't even
I
know.
I
See, you don't
watched it
even know. What are you
today.
doing?
It
You
was
don't even know.
Wednesday. It was Wednesday. I
Hey,
watched it today. I watched it today. So it's on the Nvidia investor relations website. You can access it from there. I recommend anybody to watch it. It's an hour and a half long though, so you have to take the time out of your day to do it. But are you looking something up right now, or can I go on and, and talk?
well, I'm looking at the stock. So on June 11th, the stock price went down, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It went
Well, I
down
mean,
quite a bit during the show, but then as the market opened 9:30 a.m. on June 12th, it jumped right back up
yeah.
and then
Saw
came
the
right
news.
back down again. You know, so
I think we're
weird.
looking at a pretty big market disconnect here right now with Nvidia. Um, the thing is, I read a report too that a lot of billionaires are selling Nvidia and buying in Meta. But I think that with AI, and we outlined this on last week's show, you want to be in the energy sector, you want to be in the people that are making, designing the chips, Taiwan Semiconductors, if you want to be in the manufacturing area, and then you want to be the end user too with Meta, Google, Microsoft, all
The
of
data
those.
centers is huge.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
power
hit
data
all of
centers.
them. Hit all of them. GE Vernova, ASML, Microsoft, Nvidia, and then if you're okay with the China risk, Taiwan Semiconductor. I
Amazon,
personally
Meta,
don't own it,
Google.
but Amazon, yeah. So be in all of those different sectors. They're going to affect everything. And I don't think that the energy sector is quite caught up with this as far as market cap goes and general GE Vernova. I mean, even if you get like Duke Energy, for example, here in Southwest Ohio, powering a factory, they're gonna be using generators built from GE Vernova too. So,
Right. Yep.
you agree with that?
I like G. I own GE Vernova. I've been
Yeah.
very
So,
clear about that. I own it. I believe in it. I believe in the power generation aspect of GE Vernova. I still own it. I haven't sold it.
yeah, me too. So, but being in the end user too. So whether people are moving in out of Nvidia, they're going to be going into somewhere else into artificial intelligence. So just own all of them, and I think in 10 years you're going to be in a very good position.
There you go. I
Um,
agree. Perfect.
yeah,
Awesome.
awesome. Okay, cool. I also think that we've got a big market disconnect going on right now. We had earnings grow about 15% last quarter, and the S&P 500 was down 4% because of tariffs.
All right,
And then we have
I'm gonna say two words that make me throw up every time I hear anybody say it or I see it in a text in a group text or on Discord or somewhere. Consumer sentiment. And in regards to investment banking and retail traders.
an
And it's
investing
wrong.
sentiment
The
right now.
sentiment is wrong.
And that's a big disconnect that could open up a huge opportunity. There's been massive downward revisions for Q2 earnings. And if we wind up being
Not
okay,
massive. I wouldn't say
there's been a
massive.
lot. There's been a lot of downgrades and
Okay.
price down and stuff. And I think that if we wind up having a good quarter, we could just have a medium quarter and it winds up being a big beat as far as expectations go. So I think we're setting up to have a pretty decent Q2 when earnings report.
Well, I mean, I watch CNBC, Bloomberg, all these networks throughout the week, and we read you and I between the two of us read a ton of articles every single week and news and analysis reports, and I'm constantly seeing people say, "Well, the bad news has been just delayed. It's still yet to happen. We could see every statement they have is we could see or it's going to happen. Why do they keep pushing it off? Back in and where we at June? Back in April, they were saying this is going to be a horrible month. May's just going to be worse. Back in March, April's going to be bad as soon as this hits and that hits, and May's going to be awful. Here we are come June, and I'm still waiting for all these bad, horrible things to happen that have not yet happened. And
I
I've been
predicted
on
them.
this podcast complaining about it for 3 months now.
I predicted them, but it also just goes hand in hand with the fact that if you see a stock that's a good deal, you buy it and then don't rely on those predictions, even if they're
Because
your
they're
own.
not right.
They're
That's
not
my
worth it.
point. They're
Yeah,
not
they're
right. They're
not.
talking heads trying to get you to watch their programs.
Right. I agree. And then the CPI and the PPI stuff that came out last week, there was no news. There was no news to it. It was
I
flat.
mean, I was like, okay, that's just average. That's good. Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
The jobs numbers were pretty average, everything. I pointed out the only major thing was the number of available jobs in the U.S. was
Right.
now almost equal to the amount of unemployed. And I
Right.
said, that's the most concerning thing, but nobody's reporting that.
Right.
And that has been going down. I've been reporting that every so often here on this podcast now since we started, and that has been going down consistently for 4 years. Where it was over 4 years ago, it was over 13 million, and we're at 7.4 million.
Yep.
That started 4 years ago.
Yep. Well, what I was going to do is I was going to do a deep dive on the Warner Brothers stock split or the company split. It's not a stock split, it's a company split. But I don't think we have time for a real deep dive onto this. Um, I'm showing right now that in 10 minutes we're going to hit the 30-minute mark, which means I've already taken 20 minutes of the time here. So, um, I just want to explain kind of why I'm not buying into this stock. So, obviously, it did pretty well with the GE um, company split. That was awesome. My big difference here between Warner Brothers Discovery and General Electric is that the turnaround plan for General Electric was already in place. It was already moving forward. Things were already getting better at General Electric. Cash flow was already projected to go positive. This is not that. This announcement was made in order to boost the share price. I don't see a strategic turnaround in place at Warner Brothers Discovery that makes sense other than the split. And there's even portions of the split that don't make sense to me.
Explain.
Okay. So let me look at this real
How are
quick.
they splitting up the companies? HBO Max and Warner Brothers, one company, and they're leaving Discovery behind because that's great.
No, so what's going to happen is the streaming segment mostly is going to be one company, and then they're going to have the linear channels as the other company. Plus Bleacher Report and Discovery Plus for some reason is going into that. So there's going to be a
So,
little bit of streaming.
what about the live sports?
The live sports is going to go into the streaming
So
sector
it's
as
on
well.
both still.
Yeah, but they don't have the NBA anymore. So what do they have? Like the Atlanta Braves? That's it,
They
right?
have more
And
than just that.
hockey. I think they have hockey.
They have hockey, they have cycling, they have racing,
Okay.
they have a
So nothing popular other than possibly
whoa,
NASCAR.
stop, time out. No. Formula One racing, I don't know. I mean, globally, One racing popularity has grown tremendously over the past 1 year, 12 months of time. If you've been following it, you would know, and you would know that the money and the contracts flowing into Formula One racing is huge. And the fact that actually it started a couple years before that, and they also have a big movie coming out in is it 1 week or 2 weeks?
Warner Brothers, yeah, but that's going to go to the streaming division, which that
But
stock,
It's a Formula One movie with Brad Pitt as one of the main stars, and it's actually has a lot of fans behind it. They have a lot of people promoting this. It's actually has some excitement. There's a lot more people watch Formula One than you realize
globally.
globally.
And
Yes.
I'm sure there's a lot more competition for Formula One content
No,
globally.
not streaming, man. I'm telling you, they have the mark on this.
Okay.
They have motorcycle racing. They have like Tour de France style biking. They have the Formula One racing. They have a lot of unique sports that a lot of people watch.
So Global Networks is going to be the linear portion of it, right?
Yeah.
Um, the streaming and studios part, which is going to be led by David Zaslav, who's actually really good. And streaming is the big bright spot here. They had a EBITDA loss of 2.1 billion in 2022. and then a profit of 700 million in 2024, a projected increase of profit in streaming for $1.3 billion to 2025. They've got a lot of legacy content here that they can work with, especially with the DC universe, HBO stuff, Game of Thrones, which they got HBO from the AT&T Warner merger. So they got the Game of Thrones, The Sopranos, all that stuff on their streaming on the Max service. That's the
Harry
bright
Potter.
spot. Harry Potter is in on it, yeah. Um, the bright spot was that. The bad spot here is the debt. So they got about $50 billion in debt.
50.
50.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, this is horrible.
Global networks, the linear portion of this is going to assume 30 billion of that debt. So actually, let me say that, let me restate that. So the debt is estimated to be between 38 and 50 billion. So that we don't have a grasp 100% on this yet. It's between 38 billion and 50 billion. So 30 billion of it's going to go to linear. Streaming and studios are going to carry the remaining portion of the debt. Why I don't like that is that linear TV networks are not growing. So the idea here is that the growth investors will go into the streaming, the value investors will go into and buy the global networks portion, the linear stations. My problem with that is that if the value investors are going to go into the linear networks, they're going to want a high dividend because there's no growth, right? The idea is that it's just stable, even though it's declining, but it's a stable cash generator. They're going to want a high dividend. And if their linear networks is taking on a majority of their debt, you can't have a high dividend until that's taken care of. So I don't like it. This is what I'm saying.
Don't they have AEW wrestling as well?
Yeah, also declining. That is also declining in attendance and everything. Like, it just I don't know. I don't like it. Segrest depth about $38 billion minimally. Cash on hand is $4 billion. Their leverage is 3.8 times adjusted EBITDA. And another ratio that people often look at is called the current ratio. That's current assets divided by current liabilities. Current assets are assets that can be converted into cash real quick.
Or debt to asset ratio?
Liquid assets. Um, well, this is current, right? I'm looking at the current ratio. I don't know the debt to asset. I didn't write that down. But current assets divided by current liabilities. So current assets, anything that's liquid. Current liabilities, anything that's owed in the next year. What you want that to be is you want that ratio to show above one. Above one means that this company is liquid. It can solve all of its current problems if it needs to by selling whatever they have that's liquid. The ratio is 0.84 for this company, showing that they could have problems in the next year. Now, they got a bunch of different debt restructuring plans going on. They've pushed the maturity of certain bonds out about 5 years, if I remember correctly. So they're restructuring, they're trying to work through all that. But for me, right now, it's a no.
Copy that. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Can we move on?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So I want to cover a couple things here real quick. I want to cover this one article. It's important to me that I cover it, and that it's I believe it's important to a lot of us, everybody but Brandon. So the U.S. Senate is scheduled for a final vote on the Genius stablecoin bill on June 17th. So in 2 days, on Tuesday, they're going to take a vote on this and pass it to the House. For those of you who are not involved in crypto and don't know, are not following, Congress bills and don't care about crypto, I'm talking to you, Brandon. This is a stable coin bill, so it's going to basically legitimize stable coins as part of American financial system from here on out. It sets legal grounds for stablecoins by requiring them to be fully backed by the U.S. dollars or similarly liquid assets such as gold, and mandating annual audits for issuers with more than 50 billion in market capitalization. The reason for this is you have a stable coin, it's meant to not move. So the price of that stable coin is meant to always be $1. And then you could trade all this, you can move money around and buy into different crypto sections, always using that as a base in the crypto universe, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
So you can always go back to the USDC, which is one of the stable coins. Say, hey, that's always $1. Let me move my money back in there, and then I can move it back over here. Because in crypto, you can move your money around very fast, very quick, very efficiently with very little fees. And that's what makes it attractive to people. So the Senate is going to vote on this bill on Tuesday. It will advance to the House representatives for voting after that. But the House has already got their other bill that they're getting ready to vote on, and that's the Stable Act, which is coming out of committee and getting ready to be voted on as well. So both Senate and House must reach a consensus on their respective bills, and they differ on such things as state and federal regulation of stablecoin issuers, as well as oversight of foreign issuers like Tether, which is a big player in the field. Earlier this week, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that stablecoin legislation could pave the way for the USD stablecoin market to grow beyond $2 trillion by 2028.
Wow.
Right? Big market, big moves, big everything, you know. All right, let's move it on. You know me, I hit these hard and fast. I don't dwell on these. I love crypto. I think crypto is a good place to put some money. So I believe it's a part of every portfolio now. And so a lot of other people agree with me. I sent Brandon an article on this just this past week. But moving on to pharmaceuticals, biopharmaceuticals, and more importantly, weight loss drugs. So if you've been listening to us for any amount of time, you know I follow the weight loss drugs of Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk. And Novo Nordisk has had a rebound. I sold about a month and a half back because they had too many headwinds and they couldn't win a lawsuit to save their life. And so I just said, I'm getting out of the stock. I took a small loss on it and got out. I got out too soon because they started winning lawsuits and they started winning legal concerns and questions and with the government. And so Novo Nordisk is moving up, compounding. All these other users such as Hims and Hers that do compounding are all have to stop, and you have to go buy the Novo Nordisk Ozempic drug, right? Well, there's another player in the weight loss field, and this company is called Metsera. That's Metsera. Metsera. They have a number of drugs out there, right? They have a number of drugs that are going to be, there's a different combination in them, and they're in the current clinical trials and phases. Right now, they have one of them that is in phase 2B. It's ongoing. They have another one that's in phase 1. They have other ones that are still in study phase and ongoing, such as pill form and what have you. There is a lot of good news and good information here on this. I want to talk about the one that they have that is currently in phase 2 and will hopefully be moving on very fast. So this one is the MET-097I. MET-097I. It's a fully biased ultra long acting GLP-1. Now it has a little bit more to do with and I forget this if I'm saying this wrong, but they have a drug, a NUSH analog peptide that they combine with the GLP-1, and that's what makes this unique, right? And by doing this, it allows the drug to have a longer half-life. So a half-life is how long a drug that is put into your system, Brandon, will actually stay active and stay working, right?
Yep.
So this drug has a very long active half-life. In fact, they're saying that it's a once monthly dosing. So right now with the GLP-1s that are out there with Eli Lilly and or Novo Nordisk, you have to do it once a week minimum to maintain the weight loss. In fact, in testing, they've seen weight loss continued for at least 8 weeks after the last dose was administered. So, very long half life on this drug. Now, that could, I mean, lots of pros and cons with that. I'm not saying, that's just the wholly means is a great thing, right? I'm not a doctor. I'm a non-medical professional. I can't speak it to bad, good with regards to that. I'm just a stock trader, so I'm telling you about this drug and what's going on with it. Uh, it demonstrated competitive and durable weight loss, including a 7.5% reduction in body weight from a baseline at day 36. So after 36 days, people are seeing a 7.5% reduction in body weight. That's huge. I mean, that's massive, Brandon. And the fact that it continues for 8 weeks. And they're saying it's this combination of this peptides with the GLP-1 is really making a difference in this. Now, some of the other versions of this that are not quite as far as long as phase two are a pill form and not an injectable form, which makes this company very intriguing. So why am I bringing this up when we already have Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly? So one thing I've been very consistent of saying in the healthcare and pharmaceutical field that just because you're the first one with a drug doesn't mean you're going to come out with the best drug and the one that everybody uses. Currently, Eli Lilly has, and I've reported on this about 2 to 3 months ago, I believe. Eli Lilly has a cholesterol drug that gets rid of over 95% of all bad cholesterol inside your body in 4 months. So there are advances in drugs and healthcare in particular that are far and beyond what the predecessors were capable of doing but it's the work of the predecessors that allowed these to come around. Thoughts, Brandon?
I mean, that sounds extreme, the 95%. But again, not being a
That was
doctor,
Eli Lilly and the cholesterol drug, and I covered it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I invest in what I know, and this, like, anytime that there's stuff like this, that kind of it just scares me a little bit.
Why does this scare you?
I mean, you don't the side effects that could come out, what are all the lawsuits pertaining to regarding Novo Nordisk? And I know I'm a big tech investor when there's thousands of lawsuits there every day against Google and Meta and all that's a daily thing.
Most of them have to do with stock price
Okay.
manipulation
Okay.
and not to do with drug problems.
Okay. And
I would say
even that's
90% of it has
horrible.
to do with
I
the
mean,
stock price.
there's shareholder lawsuits left and right, and most of them are stupid. Most of them are frivolous. Um, Again, though, when you say 95% of bad cholesterol in like 5 months, and I know that's the Eli Lilly one, that sounds extreme, and that sounds to me like there's going to be a whole book written about side effects. You know, you'll you're muted. I can't hear anything you're saying.
All right, let's talk about Met Sarah and the weight loss drug that they have because that's the one I'm reporting on now. And they're saying that this half life, so it could have a potential half life of 2 months, but right now it's saying the half life where you do a one month a one shot a month for this weight loss drug versus what you have to do with Eli Lilly or Novo Nordisk is once a week,
Yeah. I don't
and
know.
an 8% and a 7.5% body weight loss in
Yeah.
just 36 days. That is crazy. Imagine if you weigh 300 pounds and you do 7.5%. That's what 23 pounds in the first month.
That's insane, and hopefully it's
23
healthy.
pounds. Yeah.
Hopefully it's healthy. It makes me think every time of those commercials that like it shows people like jogging and having fun, and then the side effects are being listed, and it's like you may cry blood, or you may spontaneously combust.
Well, let's look at the numbers here, right? We're a stock and investment podcast. Let's look at the numbers, right? Let's break this down. Currently, institutional ownership of Metsera is 40%. Institutional fund ownership at 11%. Insiders only own 14.8% of the company. There's a reason for that. It just started trading not too long ago. This has not been available for stock trading for that long whatsoever. In fact, it's been less than back in February, January of this year. Started
What's the price per share right now?
currently $29.38.
Okay.
Started stock trading back in January 31st of this year. And immediately all the insiders bought up tons of stocks.
Okay.
Lots of the insider buys immediately as soon as it went live. So that's to me, that's a good sign. Current debt to assets, 26.8% debt to assets.
Okay.
So that's pretty
Not bad.
good. Yeah, especially for a newer company. Cash flow, operating cash flow is negative at 54 million. Net cash flow is positive at 234
Okay.
million. So, I mean, you got some, you know, differences there. Only two earnings so far since because it just came out this year. Two earnings reported. Brand new company, so you would not expect, and they don't have anything commercially available for sale. So you expect it all to be losses, correct?
Yep.
Right? Nothing yet commercial. First loss was heavy. The estimated was negative 80 cents per share. It came in at negative $3.52. The second Q1 of 2025 estimated was negative 85 cents per share. It came in at negative $1.03. So a lot closer on that. So to me, I see a lot of high potential here in Metsera.
Okay.
And I look at a company that, as I dig into this further, is one that I'm going to say is a buy. I'm calling a call right now on Metsera on June 15th.
Okay. I'm gonna take your word for it.
You're just going to take my word for it. That's it.
I've invested in exactly one pharmaceutical company in my life, and it did not go well. So,
Gotcha. Fair enough. Fair enough. So let me talk about one that is not going well. And I usually don't cover headlines like this, and I don't go into these type of companies, but I want to just share this as, there's a company called Sarepta Therapeutics, ticker symbol SRPT. They were doing some really advanced research in a lot of fields of muscular skeletal issues, and were coming out with new medicines they were trying in clinical trials, and they were making some advancements, and they're doing very well. Uh, and they're doing some gene therapy treatments on a lot of these. Well, recently, within the past 30 days, they had two patients in clinical trials of this muscular treatment gene therapy session die of liver
oh well.
malfunctions, and so liver failure deaths. So they had to pause all the trials for this drug and put people on different medications immediately. These are the risks that these healthcare and pharmaceutical companies have when they do these things, when they're trying to test out. We have all these safety standards in place. I've talked about the book of Blood and Money, and it's a true story, and it goes into the in depths of the uh, pharmaceutical world and how to get approval and how the FDA can be pushed one way or another by certain companies, and they can make it very hard or very easy for certain companies. But there's a reason why we have the FDA in place, and it's to stop deaths like this. Um, Unfortunately for those families, those people didn't make it. If you're Sarepta Therapeutics, the stock has been going down consistently for six months now, and when it opens up Monday morning, it is going to drop like a rock. Um, the only way to play that kind of drop with no positive sign in the immediate future for this stock price, you could do a dead cat bounce, or you could just go ahead and do a put. But I believe everybody else would be doing puts on it come Monday morning.
Uh-huh.
So,
Or short it.
huh?
Or short it.
Or short it. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of that going on as well.
Yeah.
So this stock's about it was just recently, Brandon, recently trading at $175 a share back in 1 year ago.
Yeah. So you got to
1 year
figure
ago.
out, do you want to put a time frame on it? Because if you buy a put, then you're limiting your losses, which is good compared to a short, which theoretically your losses are not limited on that because there's no limit to how much the price can go up if people wind up buying a crap load of it. Um, But with a short position, there's no expiration. So that's also
Well, currently the stock's at $36 a share. It's already gone down quite a bit over like I said, last 6 months it really fell off. They just had bad news after bad news on these clinical trials, and this is what happens when you invest in these biopharmaceutical companies. So I give you this example after I just made a call on a company as a word of warning. Biopharmaceutical companies and drugs can have great high hopes, but then something could go wrong somewhere, and all of a sudden that company's stock just plummets. So yes, I'm calling to buy on Metsera, but always do your research. Always make sure you're watching these clinical trials and you're ready to get out if need be.
gotcha.
That's why I covered that news article after I covered Metsera, and because these all just happened just this past weekend, and it's good. It's timely. It shows you the bad side as well as the good side of pharmaceuticals.
Well, I think in this episode so far, we've done a pretty good job of showing, the two sides to the coin on the reasons why we invest. I mean, you're talking about the two companies right now, why you call it a buy on one, why you're saying don't touch the other one for pharmaceuticals. And then for me, I was talking about the situation where I bought into General Electric. I like the fact that they were splitting the companies back then, but they already had their turnaround plan in progress and everything was going well. And Warner Brothers is not that situation. So, I mean, I think we did a pretty good job
Yeah,
educating
showing
people on where our minds are.
showing the yin and yang of the markets, if you will.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon, it is that time again in the show for your final thought or
I,
thoughts. Do you have more than one?
I will never touch Boeing again. It's not going to be for me. Even if it's a good value, I just do not have the time every day to be looking at my phone and worrying about what report might come out from that crash. And I just don't want any part of it. So I'm done. I'm done with Boeing. That's it.
All right.
But Dave, I really wish I would not have titled the episode Brandon Buys Boeing 2 weeks ago.
That is poorly timed. Poorly timed. All right. So recently, there's two things that happened this past week that, last 2 weeks. One was a IPO of Circle Internet Group. It's a crypto related company. Brandon, you mentioned why did we not see this? Why did you not see this coming? I don't know. I heard something about it, but I didn't get a chance to look into it. There's thousands and thousands of companies for us to look into all the time. We sometimes we miss a few. Um, I did take a look at Circle Internet Group. It is doing very, very well, but it just goes to show you that anytime you have a new innovative company involved in some kind of financial services with crypto, it's taken off. And there's a lot of movement in these. I've covered them in our stock trading groups before, where we've texted messaged each other about them and how they just keep going up and up and up no matter what, and they're making money and they're profitable and they're doing very, very well. And Circle Internet Group is another one that has continued to gone up. It IPO'd, I believe, what was it, like $10 a share IPO'd?
Well, that's a crypto play, so that would be up your alley.
Yeah, $31 a share is the IPO and is currently at $134 a share. So it's just that's a nice, huge return, four times your money at least. Circle Internet Group is really taking off. So anytime you see an IPO coming out and it's something crypto related right now, that's hot. There's a lot of money to be moved into these things. People are looking still to make quick money off of crypto and move it fast because there's a lot of money in crypto.
Yeah.
A lot of these people have made millions off crypto and they're looking for some way to invest their money outside of it, kind of like how Saudi Arabia's made billions and billions in oil and they want to invest outside of it so they have other income streams.
Yep.
So that's the situation you have in crypto. So when you have a crypto financial services company that's not really a crypto company but is crypto related, yes, the crypto guys are going to throw their millions in it in order to have a diversified portfolio, but yet still be crypto related.
Yep.
And then the other one I want to talk about is one that I own, and I've called it a buy on the show, and I still own it, and I'm not selling it. Is Cooler Technology Group. They're doing a reverse stock split, and I don't like that they're doing this. I don't. Michael Moe is irritating me. He's the CEO of the company. He's doing this. and so that they can be added to, and this is the press release they said, so that they can be added to all these institutional mutual funds and other growth funds because they've expressed interest in adding Cooler to it, but the price of Cooler was too low in order to be added to it. And so they said you have to maintain above a certain price level. So Cooler Technology is going to go ahead and do a reverse stock split. That's going to take effect on June 3rd. And they're also going to be added to the Russell 3000 because of this reverse stock split. Now, when that got announced, the stock fell off a cliff. It went from $1.25 to 88 cents a share. People sold like crazy to get out of there.
Yep.
Am I happy he did this? No. I'm not happy at all that he's doing this in order to be into these funds. But if these verbal agreements he has with these investment banks and with the Russell 3000 go through, they're going to make this back up and more.
I
And
hope so.
especially if they do what I believe they're going to do, which is report a profit next quarter on the earnings, then again, they're going to make all this back up and more. So I'm holding. I mean, right now it's so cheap. I would say buy because it's so cheap, but if you bought where I bought in, I would say just hold. Let's see where this goes from here.
I
But
wonder
that's
how many shares are outstanding of it. I didn't see that.
it's going to be brought down to a total after the reverse stock split of just 40 million shares.
Okay. So
So
it's not a
not
lot. It's not
no,
tons.
no, it's not. And so that's why it's they're doing 8 for 1. If you want to know the math, 8 for 1. So reverse stock split coming on for June 23rd for Cooler Technology Group. A couple of us that own it in our stock groups were already chatting about this. Like, what are you doing? Are you selling? Are you holding? I told everybody I'm holding. So
Okay.
that's my final thought. So thank you for listening. Please hit the subscribe button whether you're watching us live on YouTube or not live or recorded on YouTube,
Five.
live hopefully soon. Or listen to us on the podcast like most everybody else is right now. We thank you as always. We hope we've been entertaining, educational, and uplifting because we want everyone to make money. Have a good night.
Have a good night.